Hi guys, Electrostats here. Welcome to this third episode of Time to Improve. In today's episode, I'll be teaching you how you can improve your swings from this to this just by changing your controller setting. I also have a special announcement at the end of this episode, so make sure you watch the entire video. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Before we start, we're gonna need to install two mods, Controller Setting Helper and Saber Tailor. The guide will be split into two sections, the setup and then the config. I also want to say that finding a perfect config takes a lot of time. Do not be surprised if it takes you hours or even days to get everything figured out. The first step is to find the orientation at which you're using the controller. Let's first go to Controller Setting mod and turn on these three options. Then find a map that has a bottom row middle lane node, play that first node, and let yourself fill the level. Watch the replay in slow motion, and pause when the sabers are pointed straight forward. Calculate the angle, and apply the required rotation Z until the arrows are perfectly lined up. This will make it way easier on you, as it will move the controller perfectly along the axes and not diagonally. After the correction, play the same song and watch the replay to make sure the alignment is correct. You can repeat this step as much as needed. From now on, it is important to never change that rotation Z, as it will change the behavior of all the other axes. Once you're done, go back to the Controller Setting Helper mod and turn on that third slider. This will mess up your controller settings, but don't worry, this is what we're gonna work on next. To make it easier to find our settings, we will set some default values depending on your hardware. Feel free to pause the video to set this up. If you're using the Oculus software, use the setting displayed on the left. If you're on Index, use the right one. Any other VR does not require any adjustment. Position Z is mostly preference. Personally, I like to put the center rotation right at the bottom of the hilt. To find rotation X, simply peek under your headset and try to align the saber orientation with the back of your hand. We will further tweak that offset, but for now, it's gonna do the job. For this step, we will use the white shiny circle at the bottom of the controller as a point of reference. The ultimate goal is to make that circle perfectly stable, no matter how you move your wrist around. We'll have 4 different tests we can do to make sure that we have the correct positions. For the first test, put your left hand under your right wrist and swing up and down using your wrist only. If the circle doesn't move, you have the correct position Y. The second test is exactly like the previous one, but instead, swing sideways with your palm facing inward. If the circle doesn't move, you have the correct position Y. For the third test, put your arm right in front of you and then point your wrist up towards the sky. Wave your hand left and right as if you were waving at someone without moving your arm. If the circle rotates on its center, then you have the correct position X. And finally, put your arm right in front of you, pointing towards the menu, and then rotate your wrist on itself as if you were opening a doorknob. If the circle doesn't move, you have both the correct position X and Y. It is possible that the controller is rotating in a cone shape. If that's the case, just make sure that the bottom part of the controller is perfectly stable and ignore the top. Before we start working on the rotations, it's important to understand that changing any rotations will affect the center rotation of the controller. By rotating the controller in a specific direction, you are also moving that center of rotation towards the same direction. For example, if you point the controller more upward, you would also have to move the controller more upward. Fortunately, there is a very easy way to fix the positions. By doing the test number 4 that we did earlier, we can test both position X and position Y at the same time. If we only change one rotation at a time, then we can deduce which one of the position is causing the circle to be moving when doing the test. When changing rotation Y, you want to change the position X. And when changing rotation X, you want to change the position Y. I also recommend increasing your saber trail length, as it will be way easier to analyze the swing curve and the swing balance with a very long saber trail. This is probably the hardest part of the guide, as it requires you to play with the config and analyze your own swings. I highly recommend downloading the Camera 2 config in the description below and record your own gameplay. To find the correct rotation Y, play a map that is fast for you, but not uncomfortable. Record your gameplay, and on the auto view camera, look if your swings are curving either inward or outward. For an inward curve, increase rotation Y until the swings is straight. For an outward curve, decrease rotation Y until the swing is straight. After this step, make sure to redo the position X like I mentioned earlier. Similar to the way we found rotation Y, watch your own replay, but this time we will take a look at your swings from the side. A perfect swing should have the same amount of swing at the top and at the bottom. On the side view camera, look if your swings are balanced. If there is too much swing angle at the top, increase rotation X. If there is too much swing angle at the bottom, decrease rotation X. Once again, make sure to redo the position Y like I mentioned earlier. And now, time for the special announcement. Thanks to the amazing modder Polly, Controller Setting Helper and Sabertailer are now available on Quest. The download link will be in the description below. I'm also happy to announce that I will be starting 2 new YouTube channels, Electrostats TV and Electrostats Clips. They will be used to share some funny moments and highlights of my livestream content. Make sure you subscribe to both of them as well. And that's it for this new episode of Time to Improve. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope that this helps some of you. Don't forget to click that subscribe button to see more of my content, and I'll see you in the next video of Time to Improve. Peace!